September 30th, 2008 marks the day of my grandfather passed away. He came to this world on August 12, 1935 and lived for many great years. Although he has been gone for many years, he will always be with us in our hearts and minds. He was a great man and helped many people along his incredible journey through life, including me. My grandmother once told me, if your grandfather tells someone something and shakes their hand, it will get done. He is a man of his word. When I think of my grandfather, I think of an honest, trustworthy, and outstanding man. He had many horrible things happen to him, yet he thought of everyone but himself. Three of the most dominant traits my grandfather had was his faith, satisfying others, and him being a trustworthy man. My grandfather's faith was amazingly strong. Here's one of his Bibles. He drove fuel trucks for a living, and one day a truck blew up on him and burned him with third-degree burns over 75% of his body, and he still had faith that he would live, and did just that for many more years. He also had faith in everyone and everything around him. If me or my siblings ever said we couldn't do something, he had faith in us and told us that we could. He would help us follow through with whatever we were trying to achieve or accomplish. Another great characteristic of my grandfather was he was always trying to satisfy others. No matter what, he would drop what he was doing for himself and help others. I saw this a countless number of times. Years after his burn incident, he fell off of a horse and broke a few ribs. We took him to the hospital where they ran some tests on him and found out he had liver cancer. This crushed our family. I remember when he was in the hospital bed, he never would want anyone go out of their way to help him, but some kind of way he would help me and my family out. Whether it was through him encouraging us that he was okay or making jokes and telling stories to make us laugh, he was trying to satisfy us when he was the one in pain. When they told him he only had so long to live, he would crack jokes. I know in his mind, he knew and had faith that he would live longer than what the doctors would tell him, and he did. He finally kicked the cancer and lived a few more years. My grandfather was the most selfless person I know. Lastly, one of his greatest personal values, I believe, was the fact that he was one of the most trustworthy men I have ever known to this day. They just don't make them like they used to anymore. You would never expect him to cheat, lie, or steal anything. He would always tell the truth, even if it turned out to be bad for him. I remember a time he was sick with cancer and on medication. He climbed up on his tractor and drove the hay spear straight through the front of his truck. My grandmother asked him, "What happened?" and he just put his head down and told her exactly what had happened. I know he was embarrassed and did not want to tell her, but he knew he had to tell the truth and follow through with it. All in all, my grandfather is one of my idols, and I wish I could be more like him. I try to be the best to fill his shoes, but it can be hard sometimes. I just have to look back on my memories of him and keep his good deeds in my mind. He was a great man, and I respected everything about him. He will never leave my mind or my family's thoughts or heart.